this afternoon, and you have used the term agent of change, and that's very important indeed, this sense of agency. Clearly there's intention here to make more space in the corporate world anyway for women leaders, but women also have to take responsibility and grab that space and get to the top and go for those leadership positions. And that's what we are going to discuss next, I guess. In line with what we've heard so far, I am now pleased to open the stage to a conversation on the power and responsibility of youth in our societies. But just before we call our speakers to the stage, let's take a look at this short compilation of testimonials, which was prepared by 20 questions to the world. And that's an open window onto our shared humanity and the perspectives of youth. So let's take a look.
I think I'm scared that I won't make any difference.
I think I am worried about climate change.
Je suis très inquiète, politiquement, écologiquement, les droits des femmes, les droits des minoritaires. Il y a trop de catastrophes civiles, des guerres.
And I'm worried that we don't have the right people in positions of power that are able to change that quick enough.
Ce qui me fait peur concernant le monde de demain, c'est qu'on arrive à une époque où les humains perdent leur humanité.
I really hope that I'm gonna be in a position where I can change something for the better.
Um desejo que eu tenho muito grande é que as pessoas comecem a tentar pensar de maneira mais coletiva.
As cliché as it is, as soon as we're divided, we're going to fall apart.
Variante, e clar că nu o să rezolvăm toate problemele Universului, că nu despre asta e vorba. Dar ce reușim să rezolvăm noi ca oameni?
I think hope for the world is that everyone has what they need and they're getting those things in a sustainable way. Start to solve some of the big issues around hunger and inequality.
فوالا الواحد نولي واعيين ونوليو متقبلين بعضياتنا كيف ما حنا ومتقبلين الاختلافات ديال بعضياتنا وكل واحد شنو باغي نتقبلوه كيف ما هو ماشي ضروري خصو يكون بحالنا باش نتقبلوه.
All of us, we just humans trying to figure this out. Like, life is not easy. Don't be so hard on the next person. And then maybe the whole world will find peace.
If you could ask a question to all young people in the world, is there something that you want to ask?
What are we waiting for?
Lovely video. What are we waiting for, really? You have to love the title of our next conversation. It's called Owning Your Responsibility, Owning Your Power. And to discuss it, I am very pleased to call to the stage our speakers, Virginie Chauvin and Mahmoud Kader, in conversation with three young brilliant personalities, Jennifer Elundu, Musawa Begana, and Chloé Buono, and of course, Benjamin Voyer from ESCP, who will be facilitating this conversation. And there again, give them a warm welcome, please.
What a great energy, what a great topic to end this beautiful Women's Forum. We're going to talk today about quite a few things with an incredible panel. We want to use this opportunity to talk about intergenerational dialogue, civic engagement as a tool for reconciliation, mental health and well-being, all topics that are dear to young people. We've got a distinguished panel sharing a wealth of knowledge and experience. Virginie Chauvin is member of the management board and the executive committee at Forvis Mazars. Jennifer Elundu, co-founder of Akuma Association. Musawer Begana, founder of Women Post and 100 Figures for Women's Rights. Mahmoud Kader, founder of Hidden Healers. And Chloé Boineau, laureate of the Fondation de la Vocation. And I'm Ben Voyer, professor at ESCP Business School and founder of the Gen Z Observatory. Without further ado, I'm going to start the panel conversation talking to Virginie and asking her a question about, in your experience in business, and you've got a wealth of experience in corporate leadership, why is that so meaningful to create intergenerational exchange? And how can we do so in a way that benefits both younger and older generation? I'm especially interested in the added value of these collaboration and the strategies that companies can adopt to better support and empower young women and professionals in the workplace.
Thank you, Benjamin. So first I want to mention that for us at Forvis Mazars, it's really key to understand this intergeneration topic, because the average age is 29. So there are people like me, partners, who are much older than that, and we are very, very young. For each of them is the first employer. We are very, very often the first employer, so it's really key. Why should we work with all the generation? First, it's a matter of number. We are all facing today lots of crises. We have been facing crises during ages. We can discuss about the pandemic crisis, the economic crisis, the uncertainty in the political world, but also geopolitical issues. So for that, we need all the best talents, whoever they are, wherever they come from, and whatever is their age. So it's really key to have the best talents with us. Speaking about intergeneration is a matter of diversity, a diversity of skills. And we've been known for a long time that diversity creates value. There have been lots of surveys on that, so it's really a very important point. But the objective is not just to combine different strengths, and we'll see that there are different strengths depending on the generation, but it's mostly to foster a culture of collaboration, making people working together and to give the best to address the challenges that I mentioned. So if we go to the skills, we know that young generation are usually much better at using technology. They are more sensitive to environment, globally speaking. They have a lot of agility and they have a lot of energy as well. If we discuss about older generation, they have a very precious skill, which is experience. Experience is very important to run a business, so they have developed a know-how, they are used to solve complex problems thanks to their experience, and they are more in a long-term perspective and understanding of the business topics. So working together means that we are able to make the organization more resilient. But for that, there are some conditions of success. The first is really to understand each other and to accept that there are differences. There are differences between the generations, so we have to know it and to respect it, and to create as well a respect between the generations. There are no skills which are better than others. They are all very important, in fact, and we need to make them all together. And we also need to be able to understand that we can all learn from the other generation. We learn by discussing people. Today, we learn together how we think, all of us. So for that, as an organization, we have a responsibility to create the conditions to develop this culture of collaboration, and I will give you two examples of what we are doing at Forvis Mazars. First one is we have been developing a program of reverse mentoring. So the purpose of this program is to have young people helping older people to use the technology. But that's just an opportunity to make them discuss together, to understand and to work together. So that's an example, and we are all in a situation where we are not in our specific role usually. because it's really the young one who is helping someone older. And the second program that I can give you as an example is that we've organized a TEDx conference with some young talents in order to propose them to propose to the executive committee their ideas on the strategy, on the main topics that we have to face, and on the organization that we need for that. So that does not mean that they are doing the strategy, but we have taken their ideas, their inputs to develop our own strategy. And so they were in a position that they are not usually, and we were in a position that we were not usually, in order to understand each other and to work together.
Thank you very much, Virginie, and I really like your point about getting to know each other. In the research we do with the Gen Z Observatory, we found that a lot of the time it's the lack of perspective taking that creates misrepresentation, stereotypes about generation. So let's learn to take the perspective of the other to create bridges rather than stay in silos. I'm now going to talk to Mahmoud Kader and the work you do on mental health and well-being. That's a topic that is really important for young generations. And I'm especially interested in the work you do and how your experience can help organizations create promoting mental well-being, supporting employees in balancing their personal and professional identity, realizing their full potential in the workplace, and last but not least, the role you see for them in shaping the future across various sectors from business, activism, and governance.
Thank you so much. That's a big question.
A big question.
Amazing. Well, I'm so happy to be here. Let me start with the sentiment that was shared in the video from the young leaders, that powerful question at the end, what are we waiting for? And it is a question I've been thinking about a lot. What are we really waiting for? And I think when we talk about mental health, too often we're decontextualizing the actual challenges that we go through, and we're oversimplifying the issues, especially for the younger generations. We've heard that we are overly emotional. We don't know what real pain looks like. We don't know real challenges. We haven't been through similar hard times as older generations. And I think when we talk about reconciliation, it requires a deeper understanding. It requires moments of curiosity to really take a moment and be like, what is actually happening? And the video did such a great job on those specific topics that I bring people back to when we talk about mental health, which is the underlying causes that cause the anxiety, the stress, the depression that many young people face around the world. And those were mentioned, some of them in the video, from climate change to the wars that are happening, to things that we see in our day-to-day life and we interact with. And as a young person, I've felt and I've seen those things. As an immigrant that grew up in Egypt and went to America, going through a decade of suffering through racism, discrimination, being low income, and feeling like the only way that I was going to get rid of those feelings was to end my own life. And so many young people feel this way. They feel like the hopelessness of what they experience day to day and what the reality gives them in the world leaves them hopeless. It makes them feel like we're unfixable and the system is unfixable. And so I think when we talk about solutions, I think it's important for us to, one, think about where are places that young people are. And for me, I found that initially working with education with schools was a great platform, teaching mental health education and making the case that just like we're teaching math and science to kids, we should be teaching mental health. And expanding that to go beyond and say, okay, we need to meet young people in other places that they are at. And so we've worked with libraries, we've worked with museums, and then we've worked with workplaces. And our work with workplaces has been teaching everything from parents how to actually support their kids better, to talking about the underlying causes there, about having bad managers that cause bad mental health to people. That's a mental health issue. Overworking the younger generation, having unrealistic expectations with an inflexible schedule because it was passed down generation to generation that work is our life. But now this generation feels like, you know what, work is not life. Like we don't subscribe to that. And so there are new values, there's a new generation, there's new ideas, and I think taking the time to understand, and what I feel like has happened is that actually older generations and younger generations share so many of the same values. We've just been taught that over time, it's not okay to talk about certain things. And there's been stigmas, there's been fear, and now that that's opened up, it's really shown us that not only talking about it is important, not only awareness, but actually moving towards action and showing that what we say, what leaders say on stages about mental health now, what governments say, following that up with real concrete actions through funding, through education, through workplace mental health. I think that's really critical to actually make a difference in youth mental health.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mahmoud. So resonating with a lot of the things that I've heard from our Gen Z Observatory members on how they want things to change and they want to be upfront and honest about their mental health, and the fact that this is not and should not be seen as weakness, but this is just new values that need to be shared and understood. Things such as, eco-anxiety that is very prominent for younger generation that needs to be understood, respected, valued, and working towards solution of these problems. So thank you very much for sharing your testimony. I'm now going to turn to Jennifer Alundu, again, thinking about civic engagement as a tool for reconciliation and social change. So many questions again for you, Jennifer. How do you think companies can bridge the gap between civic engagement and corporate responsibility? I'm especially interested in how can businesses empower young people to bring their civic values in the workplace, in light also of what we were discussing with Mahmoud and Virginie, really empowering younger generation. And how do you personally reconcile your power and responsibility as a young person? What advice would you give to others in your generation who might struggle to believe in their own potential to create meaningful impact?
Thank you for your question. Hello everyone, so my name is Jennifer. I'm from Cameroon. I am the co-founder of Akuma, an association that works to promote quality education. And this year we are working in Cameroon in order to accompany young people and children when it comes to financial assistance and mentorship opportunity. So to answer to your question, Benjamin, what I want to say is that to bring this gap that exists between civic engagement and then corporate sustainability, it is really important for a company to promote action that allow to build the different relation between the young people, and also it is really important for them to align their business goals with the concern that we have in the different community. And one way to do this, it can be possible to build relation with different organizations working on the ground in order to address the different problems that we are facing. It can be in education, it can be in environment, or also in healthcare. Another point is that what is really important is also to allow young people working in those companies to be able to work as a volunteer for those organizations. And when I was doing my internship in BNP Paribas, they had this program which is called 1 Million Hours to Help. And the goal of this program was to allow the employee to work with social organizations in order to promote social action. And I think by doing this, this can be a main point to help young people to have access to those opportunities and to be involved in action work. And I also want to mention that today, company needs to be safe space for young people, safe space so that young people can be able to share their idea. I think Virginie mentioned this, the fact that we have those fresh ideas, we have the energy, and we need to have those mentorship in order to be more involved and in order to work more fluently within the different company. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. And I remember one of the first meetings we had with the Gen Z Observatory and the CEO of Cartier. And the CEO of Cartier asked the audience, what do you feel is the most important for you when you join the workforce in your 20s? And the unanimous voice of youth was, we want to feel we're making an impact from day one. And I think that's a really powerful message, that this is a generation that is there to, in the most beautiful and positive way, disrupt things and make the world a better world. I'm now going to turn to Moussawer Begana. I'm interested in your perspective on how older generation generations, institutions, and communities can better support young people in civic engagement, specifically to foster reconciliation and social change? What are the key challenges that young civic leaders like yourself face in pushing for social change, and how can we create that environment where these efforts are recognized and supported?
Thank you for your question. Yeah, this is really important. Actually, what I believe is for supporting and including young generation in a civic engagement, this is really important for older generation and institutions to communicate, like to rethink about how they communicate the topics and important parts for young generation, and it's really important. Like as the last report of Reuters said, most of the new generation, especially Gen Z, avoid the traditional news sources, and this is really important. Like when a young cannot be engaged with the society and what's happening today in today's world, so how they can take action and stand against the discriminations. And the point that I want to make is let's speak with the language that young generation can understand it. So that was what we have done with Women Post. 6 months ago, we had started the movement. This movement started for supporting Afghanistan women and raising more awareness. And globally, we had some like 12 girls from inside of Afghanistan drawing celebrities and public figures and having like hundreds of them in social media just to post on Instagram and having more engagement. And that worked. I mean, that was the young people want. We made a gesture of like crossed hands, and that was really shocking that it spread from schools, universities, athletes, and even some people I have seen that they used in their music songs. And the journey haven't ended on that time, but these girls who started from the scratch, even they designed the uniform of Olympics for Afghanistan, and that was a story of resilience that we can see. Actually, at this time, Afghanistan women cannot go to school, cannot go to university, and even they cannot speak in the public. So it's really important to convey the message in a way that the young people can understand it. As they told that 39% of the young generation just avoid the news and scroll it. So let's find the new ways to approach young generation. So I can leave you with a really powerful sentences that said, این ملت من است که دستان خیش را بر گرد آفتاب کمربند کرده است. این مشت‌های اوست که می‌کوبد از یقین دروازه‌های بسته تردید قرن را. It means it's the power of reconciliation of nations that make a belt out of the hands around the sun, and it's the strikings of the fists that open the doors that have been closed all centuries.
Thank you very much for this very powerful testimony, Ms. Voyer. Thank you. And I'm now going to turn to our last panelist for today, Chloe Buano. Chloe, as a young artist, how do you leave the relationship between civic engagement and art? And how does intergenerational talk and youth empowerment can be fostered through the arts?
So, as it was highlighted yesterday in the last panel of the day, art is a universal language. That means that one of the main art purposes is to be a medium of communication. So, first thing when you think to art is not engagement. It is passion, it is desire, and it is something that grows and grows and grows. Second, come vocation. What do I do with this passion? How do I make a job out of it? How do I begin a career with it? And then come engagement. Why? Because to engage yourself in something, you have to have strong beliefs. You have to want to share something. That is the point with art, where you can. My turning point was to encounter the Fondation de la Vocation, because as all beginners, I faced some difficulties that I didn't know how to overcome. And they designed this safe space of more experienced people talking to non-experienced people and sharing points to help you to achieve your vocation. So that was, I think, the best way if they can help me to develop myself. And this is something very powerful because now I am grateful. I have a message and I am ready to share it with others. So I just walk end to end with others, and I think the goal of all of those meetings is to share things and to go together somewhere, anywhere.
Thank you very much, Chloe. And I really like the point you make about feeling safe to speak. Psychological safety is one of the key things that organizations need to foster in the workplace to enable real dialogues. As we bring this panel and conversation to a close, I would like to give the chance to each of our panelists to send a take-home message to this beautiful audience here, either reacting to what was said or giving a take-home message to the audience. We can go in the same order, maybe with Virginie.
Thank you. What I've heard of what we've said today is really that we all want to have an impact. In fact, it's not a matter of generation. We see very young people who want to have an impact on the society and the companies. We also want that for older people. So I think this is very important. And for that, to do it together, we need to trust each other. So one word would be trust, in fact.
Thank you very much, Virginie.
Okay, for me, my message is addressed to the young people because I see that we have many young people. People always say that we are the future. We are not the future, we are the present. So let us believe in ourselves. We cannot change the whole world, but we can do small action in our own community in order to change. So believe in yourself, and we are the present. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Musawe?
My message will be like we can stand more powerful without considering the gender and considering the generation. It can be more powerful.
Thank you very much, Musawe.
So what was clear to me is that individuals have power, especially in a world where you can become famous and have a voice from your bedroom, like influencers. So for me, the most important thing here is to say, believe in people and in small companies too, because you don't know who will have a voice next.
Thank you very much, Chloe. Mahmoud?
My message is to not lose hope and don't fall into despair. And a sentiment shared by an incredible civil rights leader, John Lewis, who said, our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, or a month. Our struggle is a struggle of a lifetime. But get into good trouble and try your best to enjoy your life despite the struggles we're all managing. That's still possible.
Beautiful. Thank you very much to all of our panelists, and I'm really delighted to end this panel on a note of hope. So thank you very much to the audience as well for listening.
Thank you. Now, wait a second, please. Before you go, I promised Mazars something. I promised that we would all unite and maybe make that gesture you referred to of crossing our hands to show our support for women in Afghanistan. And I would like to invite the photographer to maybe take a picture of our audience here on stage. So here you go. And I think it's fantastic that you are a young man here defending the rights of your sisters and mothers back in Afghanistan. So thank you so much. Thank you very much. That was a beautiful moment for them. Appreciate it. Thank you.